The gap between free-to-play teams and pay-to-win squads is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now here's the interesting part. I've already proven that skill can overcome team strength. I went from Division 10 to Division 1 with a completely unleveled default team. So this is not coming from someone who just lost a few matches and started complaining. But lately, something has changed. Free-to-play players are slowly falling behind. Not because they are worse, but because the system itself is starting to work against them. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where the gap is growing, why Player of the Week cards are falling behind, why 50-player packs are not what they seem, and why Smart Assist is hiding a much bigger problem. And by the end of this video, we are going to talk about the one change Konami must make if they want free-to-play players to stay competitive. Let's break it down. Before we start, something needs to be clear. Free-to-play players are not asking for free meta cards. They are not asking to automatically beat every pay-to-win team. They simply want a fair chance to compete, because eFootball has always been a game where skill could compensate a lot. A good player could beat stronger teams. A smart player could outplay expensive squads. Therefore, the game felt balanced. But when the gap between cards becomes too large, skill alone starts to struggle, and that is exactly what many players are experiencing right now. Before we go deeper into this topic, a quick note. If you enjoy these kind of deep breakdowns about eFootball, the mechanics, the meta, and how the game is actually evolving, make sure to like the video and follow the channel. It really helps the channel to grow, and it allows me to keep making these long analytical videos where we break the game down properly. Alright, now let's talk about the Player of the Week cards. On paper they look good. Nice rating, nice boosts, nice designs. But when you look deeper, a big limitation appears. Player of the Week players cannot receive additional skills. You cannot give them extra skill slots. You cannot add booster craftings. And you cannot change their positions. Therefore, their growth potential is extremely limited. Meanwhile, premium cards continue to evolve. More skills, more customization, more power. Therefore, Player of the Week cards slowly fall out of the competitive ecosystem. Konami wants to provide something that should actually help free-to-play players. 50-player packs. In theory, these packs are a great idea. Free-to-play players can save coins over time. Eventually, they then can open these packs. Eventually, they can then get an epic player. That sounds fair, but here is where the problem appears. The epics inside these packs are often weaker than the premium versions. Another example is the $1 Gabriel Batistuta. The newest Batistuta only has one Showtime skill, phenomenal finishing. Meanwhile, many new meta players now have 2 Showtime abilities. Therefore, the difference in power becomes noticeable. And it's even worse. The newest Batistuta is actually weaker in most areas compared to his previous version. And that raises a serious question. If free-to-play players finally obtain an epic card, why is it already behind the current meta? One of the major problems are the player attributes, because this is where the gap becomes extremely visible. Many modern meta players are incredibly fast, they are incredibly strong, and they are incredibly balanced. Even small dribblers sometimes have 80 or even 90 physical contact while having an ultra-high balance. A recent example is the Showtime player Endrick with around 90 physical contact and around 95 balance. Extremely explosive, extremely difficult to stop. Therefore, these players become incredibly powerful. Meanwhile, many free-to-play options simply cannot match these attributes. They are slower, or less balanced, or less physical, but always with a significant handicap, and therefore they lose crucial duels. Now we arrive at one of the biggest problems in the game. There's almost no real way to grind for strong players. Think about this for a moment. Many successful games reward time investment. You play more, you earn more, you unblock rewards, you grind. But in eFootball, that system barely exists. The main reward structure is tied to divisions. Mobile players need to reach roughly the top 1 million, console players need to reach roughly the top 100,000. And after an entire phase, you receive one player per month. And unfortunately, those players are rarely game changers. They are decent and usable, but they do not close the gap. Player skills are another area where the difference grows. Premium players often arrive with incredible skill combinations, which means multiple Showtime skills. On top, they are equipped with powerful abilities and a strong synergy. Meanwhile, many free-to-play cards have very limited skill potential. Therefore, the difference becomes more than just numbers, it becomes gameplay. Better runs, better finishing, better reactions, better animations. How could a player without 2 Showtime skills and those other attributes keep up with this? Maybe some players will say something very interesting here. They will say Smart Assist solves this problem, and in a way, they are not completely wrong. Smart Assist can reduce the gap between weaker teams and stronger teams because the system helps with certain actions. Passing becomes easier, finishing becomes easier, and certain situations become more automated. Therefore, a free-to-play team can sometimes compete more easily against stronger squads, but this cannot be the long-term solution, guys. And there is another important point. Konami has already confirmed that Smart Assist will soon be filterable, which means players will be able to turn it off before the matchmaking. Therefore, the moment that happens, the underlying problem will return immediately. The gap between free-to-play and pay-to-win teams will still exist. Smart Assist can temporarily hide that gap, but it cannot fix it. This is not just a free-to-play problem, it is a long-term health problem for the game in general. Free-to-play players make up the majority of the community. They fill the matchmaking and they keep the ecosystem alive. Therefore, when those players start to feel left behind, the entire game suffers. With that being said, Konami's numbers are going to suffer too, obviously. The solution is actually not complicated. Free-to-play players need progression systems, weekly grindable rewards, modes that unlock players through effort, better upgrade systems, and more ways to customize free cards. Because the goal is not to remove premium cards, the goal is balance. Of course, we need to pay in. Of course, Konami needs the money that they can stay alive. It makes sense, but we need the balance. The balance as a system where paying gives advantages, but effort still matters. Where skill still matters, where dedication still matters. Therefore, Konami has a very important opportunity right now. Strengthen the free-to-play ecosystem and support the players who invest time. Because when both sides feel rewarded, the entire game becomes stronger. And now I want to hear your opinion. Do you think the gap between free-to-play and pay-to-win is getting bigger? Or do you think the system is still somehow balanced? Let me know in the comments, but don't forget also to like and subscribe here too.